It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast on this, the 9th day of October 2023, coming to you from Central Virginia, right outside of Lynchburg, Bedford County. Today's headlines, folks: cruise lines cancel Israel. Virgin Voyages has got quite a deal. Some of you have wanted to try Virgin out and never had the chance. Well, maybe here's a chance for you to do that. New York City shore power by 2028. That's now official. Azamara meetup over the weekend. Resort World adds Vietnam and the Philippines, and a huge change in the weather. That and lots more here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today, folks, is International Beer and Pizza Day. Well, that's okay with me. I love pizza. I don't mind drinking a beer on occasions. I don't do it very often. I do it with a good pizza and a good cold beer. Yeah, I could deal with that. If you're listening via the podcast, welcome aboard. You can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. All the big guys. Doesn't matter. Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Pandora, any of them. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. Anytime you're listening to the podcast and want to jump over to the video feed, there's always a link in the description of the podcast so you can do just that. All right. We got a few things to look at here this morning before we get to the news. See if I can find my starting place here. Let's see. That looks like it. Heard from Elizabeth, Eli on location, as she likes to call. She says the food is wonderful on Oceana Marina. And of course, she's a vegan. Some of you may or may not know that. But I know because she and I eat together a lot. But this was one of the salads, and she said this was so good. She went back and got a second one. So the food is really good. They were in Dubrovnik. It was a right pretty day in Dubrovnik. And this is some of the artwork that's kind of hanging in the hallway right near her cabin. There's apparently quite a bit of art all over the ship. So that's the stairway in the atrium. And then I found this interesting. She had to do another training session with for her new job, and this one was on accessible, taking care of disabled customers. And this is a sign that they post around. It says, if you have any accessibility issues, you're to go see the person in charge of that. They want to know. So hats off to Oceana for the way they handle that. That's awesome. All right, ECC Travels made it to where I forget where they are in Scotland. Queensberry. There you go. Queensberry, Scotland. Remember Michael, Adonna, Philippus? Boy, they take some crazy trips. They're in Tuscany. They're staying at the Borgo alle Vigna, I guess it is, which is a Hilton facility there in the Tuscany wine country. And it's drink time. So Michael and Donna, I'm not sure who the other two folks are having a little wine. That's okay. They're allowed. Let's see. This would be Bubba and his lovely wife, Lynn. They got into Hilo this morning. You know, Janine was out in the South Pacific doing the hula dances and so forth. Now she's on Silver Nova. And I don't know, that just looked pretty good to me. We got to get Janine home long enough to come back on the show. Cindy and Nick were in Harry Potter Island in Orlando. And of course, that's Cindy and Nick. I'm sure there may have been an adult beverage involved there as well. Rona from Scotland is back in New York. She's been on the Escape and is back in New York, and I guess they're heading home. I didn't see that part of it. And then finally, on the pictures, folks, this is Emily out doing some yard work. So, just saying, she's cleaning up a little bit out in the yard. Yeah, we love Emily to death. All right, guys. I'll be back with today's news after a quick word from one of our network sponsors. All right, we're going to start off this morning with, not in the Atlantic, but when we get to the Pacific, a massive change. But this is in the Atlantic. You'll notice several things are now gone. A low latitude tropical wave located several hundred miles south of the Cabo Verde Islands continues to produce a large area of showers and thunderstorms. System has become a little better organized since yesterday. Environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development during the next several days. Tropical depression is likely to form midweek while it moves west-northwestward or northwestward across the eastern tropical Atlantic. Chances of formation in the next 48 hours are 60%, 80% over the next 7 days. Then over in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, a small area of low pressure with disorganized thunderstorm activity has formed about 75 miles northeast of Coatzacoalcos in Mexico. This isn't going to do much, folks, and it's probably going to be gone tomorrow. A little different set of circumstances in the Pacific. If you recall, Lydia, folks, was moving pretty much northwest to west all week, getting away from land. Well, it did a complete massive right-hand turn and is now heading directly to the coast of Mexico. So, I mean, it did literally, a complete. All right, Lydia is forecast to be a hurricane probably later on today. Hurricane warnings are issued for Las Islas Marias. It's about 450 miles west-southwest of Las Islas Marias in Mexico, about 365 miles south-southwest of the southern tip of Baja. Currently, it's holding 65-mile-an-hour winds, moving north-northeast at 5 miles an hour. Pressure is 992 millibars. The center of Lydia should approach Las Islas Marias and the coast of west central Mexico tomorrow and move inland over west central Mexico tomorrow night. Strengthening is forecast later today and Tuesday, and Lydia is expected to be a hurricane when it approaches Las Islas Marias and the coast of Mexico. Carnival Miracle was scheduled to overnight in Cabo San Lucas. That has now been changed because of the storm. Instead, Carnival Miracle will be going to San Diego and Catalina Island. All right, then just actually to the east now, just a little bit south, is Max. Max is strengthening as it nears the coast of Mexico. Could produce flash flooding and mudslides later today. It's about 60 miles south of Zihuatanejo with sustained winds at 50. Present movement is north at 6 miles an hour. Pressure is at 998. On the forecast track, Max should make landfall later today, then move further inland over southern Mexico. Max could get a little stronger before making landfall, with rapid weakening expected by this evening, and she should dissipate by tomorrow. So, pretty big change for the Pacific, especially that we're going to have two storms affecting Mexico today and tomorrow, at least. All right. The first story today, folks, recent attacks by Gaza militants on Israel have prompted itinerary changes on voyages with scheduled visits in Israel ports. Such incidents in the past have typically led to cruise ships altering their routes. At the time of the strike, Carnival and Norwegian ships were docked in Haifa, just 50 miles from the blast near Tel Aviv. Docked in Haifa during the surprise attack were Oceania Cruises Nautica and Holland America's New Statendam. Both ships left promptly after guests returned from the shore excursions. The Odyssey of the Seas was diverted to Bodrum, Turkey, Limassol, Cyprus, instead of its scheduled stop in Israel. Rhapsody of the Seas, which operates from Haifa, has canceled their October 9th and October 13th sailings. Celebrity Apex is skipping its call in Haifa on Sunday and will dock in Limassol, Cyprus as an alternate. Statendam had guests on an independent shore excursion in the Galilee region at the Jordan River when the strike happened. So I did speak briefly this morning with my friend Joy. Joy was on the Norwegian Joy with us. That's where we met Joy. She's now in Israel, in Jerusalem. They are continuing on with their tour. Not sure I'd like that, but Joy says she feels perfectly safe. And then I saw on the news where there were some rocket shot at Jerusalem this morning. So that might be a changing situation if any of those rockets get close. But anyway, man, I think I'd be wanting to talk to these folks about getting out of Dodge if it was me. All right. Virgin Voyage, boy, they're offering a pretty good deal right now. Of course, Virgin is an adult-only cruise line that offers cruises to the Caribbean and Bahamas from Miami. It's offering special deal on all of their cruises through the end of 2024. During the month of October, Virgin Voyages is offering special deals on cruises that include 20% off all cruises, excuse me, through the end of 2024. Also included in the deal is $600 in premium drinks per cabin on cruises of 7 nights or longer, and $300 in premium drinks on cruises of 4 to 6 nights. Eligible cabins for the sale include inside sea view and terrace staterooms. All sailings through December 31st, 2024 are eligible for this offer. All right. In order to reduce CO2 and NO emissions, all cruise vessels arriving in New York have committed to connecting to shore power by the year 2020. The EDC has set a deadline of 2020, by year 2028. They've set a deadline of 2028 to reduce emissions and ensure that all ships will have the capacity to connect to shore power. However, this poses a significant challenge. Presently, despite being the city's busiest cruise ship terminal and the fourth busiest in the U.S., the Manhattan Cruise Terminal lacks access to shore power. Brooklyn, which is Red Hook, possesses the capability. It is only utilized for ships half of the time. According to the Westside Cruise Terminal schedule, there are 227 book ships in Hell's Kitchen this year. In Red Hook, there are 43 reserved ship berthings, with only 21 of the vessels connecting to shore power. So they've got to improve on that. The problem is there is none in Manhattan. So, they've got to get the shore power set up so that ships can hook up to it. The announcement coincides with the introduction of new legislation championed by council members Electa Aviles and Eric Butcher, which seeks to mandate cruise ships to switch off their engines while in port. The bill mandates that all cruise ships in port across the city, including those in Manhattan's cruise terminal, connect to the city's electric grid instead of relying on fossil fuels. That's fine. The cruise ships have no problem with doing that. But you got to have the system there. Seems to be a little lack of communication on both sides of this one. All right, so it was a pretty cool thing this weekend for Azamara. They brought all their ships together again in Koper, Slovenia, in celebration of the fleet's arrival. Azamara guests were welcomed to the city of Koper with its first ever gourmet festival to highlight the city's culinary experiences and connect with the local economy. All right. Resort World Cruises is adding Vietnam and the Philippines as new destinations for Resort World One's 5-night sailings from Hong Kong. These new itineraries complement the current 5-night Okinawa cruise, giving vacationers more options. This month, the ship begins offering Nha Trang Da Nang cruise, and the Boracay Manila itinerary begins January 21st until March. The inclusion of these new destinations will help cast a wider net to rejuvenate the cruise tourism industry across the region, said Michael Go, president of Resorts World Cruises. So, congratulations on that. I've never sailed from from Asia. I would love to do that. So, got that on the wish list. All right, let's go over and see who's in the chat room before I throw in the towel today. Mike's with us. Good morning, Mike. Hot Air Tom is here. Dennis is with us. Hot Air is sitting at Home Depot going to buy some cement, concrete galoshes for Emily to keep her from blowing away. I can deal with that. Joanne's with us. Good morning, Joanne. Hot Air says actually to build a shed arrive Friday and needs a cement pad. Okay, so you're building a shed. That could be tricky. Dennis says, mind your, okay. Good morning, everybody. Steve's with us out in Kentucky. Sonny's with us down in Mississippi. Hi, Sonny. All right, guys, as always, smash that thumb button for me. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. I'm on a roll. I'm hoping to hit 5,000 by 3:15 this afternoon. Sounds good to me. All right, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you and y'all being here. And as always, guys, have a fantastic day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Think about cruising. Hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see everybody back here, same time, same place, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. See you tomorrow.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry, so if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.